and I thought like people would get mad and I'm like, dude, you basically spammed every single person that shoots a gun on Facebook. Anyway, this is a long conversation, but then he turns out to be a really good guy. And
as a side question, how the hell is it that any motherfucker can add you to a group on Facebook?
Oh yeah, that's weird.
How is that a thing? That's so annoying.
Yeah, it's like when you have
same as a group text.
Yeah.
That shit is fucking horrible.
Dude, wait until your mom does it with her and like everybody and her friends. It's fucking death, man.
You let your mom have a Facebook account?
No, well, my mother has a Facebook account, but no, my.
You're gonna put a silver alert on her. How old is she? She's like 100.
No. My mother?
Yeah.
She's about 70.
100.
69.
No.
I mean, I'm like twice Ben's age, so he's figuring that I'm probably like.
No, you may be twice my age, but my mom's old as shit for considering my age, right?
Super old.
I'm 31, but my mom's like 66. So it's pretty old.
Similar age.
Whatever. Should we get going? Let's start the podcast?
As you wish.
Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show, people. My name is Ben Steger, here to answer your shooting questions. As you might have already picked out the voices, today we got Tim Myers, who may or may not be actually speaking. Say hello, Tim.
Howdy.
All right. Matt Hopkins is also here.
Hi.
We got Batman, but no Robin today.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Because your bro Tim Herron is busy doing something. I don't know what that is. And Mr. Keith Martin of Sight Picture Media.
Yes. A64L, baby.
What?
He said A64L, baby. Then he threw up. If you're listening to the audio rip, he also threw up a gang sign at the camera.
What's that?
That's Atlanta.
I think that's a PP. I don't think that's...
It's the same. It means the same thing.
Means the same thing as what?
Hold it down, ATL, or it's a guy's dick hanging out. Either one.
Those are basically the same things to me. Because Atlanta's just a bunch of fucking dickheads.
You got it, baby.
All right. Here's today's topic. This comes from Matt Hopkins, dug up this thread on Enos. And the title of the thread is, Don't Take Advice from Just Anyone. So the guy teeing up the thread, and of course I'll put this in the show notes if you want to go read it or comment on it for yourself. He says, this is something I wish someone... What?
You want to send it to everybody? All right.
Well, these guys... Yeah, I was gonna set this up so well. All right, it's in the group chat, Keith. I was gonna set this up so well that these guys didn't even have to read it. But he says, "This is something I wish someone would have told me when I first started shooting. So I thought I'd start a thread as a tip for new guys. In all gun-related matters, and practical shooting is no different, you'll find an overabundance of advice almost anywhere you go. People will tell you exactly how you should shoot, reload, modify your gun, etc. When this happens, thank the person for their advice, note their name, and check the score sheets after the match to determine the level of confidence you can put into what they tell you. At my first ever USPSA match, a guy was nice enough to tell me exactly what kind of gun I should get, what kind of mags to get, and where I should buy everything. I went out and spent the money to buy a new competition gun. After 3 matches of constant malfunctions and frustration, I traded it to a guy who was willing to deal with the issues and got a Glock 34. A few months later, I noticed I was 5 to 10 places ahead of the guy in the match results. This guy that was giving me his expert advice wasn't even a good enough shooter to beat a newbie that had only been shooting a few months. At another match, I had a guy tell me the secret to shooting prone. Don't let your elbows touch the ground, he said. After shooting a couple of prone positions with my back arched high to keep my arms, shoulders, and gun off the ground, and my sights wobbling all over the place, I asked another shooter about it. He laughed for a good 30 seconds before explaining that you want as much contact with the ground as possible to keep things steady. All right, here's the bottom line. He didn't write that. I just interjected that myself. I'm not saying you can't get good advice from someone that isn't a great shooter. You definitely can, but it's important to qualify any advice you get unless you know for sure it's from someone that actually knows what they're talking about. When you're a new shooter, you tend to trust everyone because you know so little that you assume everybody must be an expert compared to you. Well, that may be the case. Plenty of bad advice gets tossed around, and it will save you a lot of headaches if you know how to avoid it. Hopefully this post will help some of you avoid the hilarious pitfalls that I fell into. All right, Hopkins, this was your topic. So, what's your reaction when you read this?
I thought it made a lot of sense. I mean, you always, like, anybody new to the sport is going to come around and be like, just be like a sponge soaking up information and everything. But the hard part is all that good, or should he soak it all up, you know? I've seen some new shooters come in where they get some advice from some people that is entirely wrong for the sport. Maybe not for shooting, like, people in the face or whatever, but I think you got to look at it that way too. If you're there for the sport or you're doing it for some kind of else training. So, yeah, I think you should be careful who you listen to for advice.
Okay, Keith.
Well, absolutely, but I think that's probably true for multiple subjects. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like there was like new guys showed up to the match the other night, and it's like every single person wants to go help that guy. Know? Well, no, or they want to talk to him or something. It's very common.
This was actually,
they get cornered by a few people.
This was going to be one of my follow-ups,
okay.
But
I got something good on this also, so we should do it.
We should. There are guys who give advice, which is one personality type, but then there's unsolicited advice.
Right.
And personally, I do my goddamn best to not give any unsolicited advice of any kind at a match. Right. Like if somebody doesn't ask me a question, I don't say a fucking word. Try not to. Hopkins, I assume it's the same policy for you.
It's exactly the same. The thing I see that most people do is over-inform people. We've had people that come out to watch, and dudes are talking about mag holders. I'm like, really? Is that the way you're going to talk to these dudes about that aren't even shooting? And then you go to rules like what you can do to your production gun. I'm like, holy shit.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You do not need to talk about that for at least like 2 matches. Just get out here, bring your gun, and shoot.
Yeah, and they are drinking from the fire hose at that point, and there's too much.
It's more like drinking from the Niagara Falls.
Right, and there's just entirely too much input going on. And you have to selectively. Well, that's the difference between somebody who can teach or give people who can give good advice and who can't. But yeah, it's like how do you select that advice for that person at that time? And that some people are just so completely overwhelmed by this stuff that they can't even figure out even what's going on. You know.
And that could turn a lot of people off with the amount of rules and everything, or people are telling them. It could turn some people off of the sport, I think.
All right, actually, I should probably bring this up. Guys in my area used to run like a USPSA sort of primer class or orientation thing, where it'd be, if you're interested in USPSA, hey, come to this class at the sporting goods store and we'll explain it to you. And I always hated it that he had like the division rules were part of the PowerPoint presentation. It's like, this is production. You could do blah, 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 blah to your gun. And you'd go through all the rules for every division. And I'm sitting here like, who gives a fuck about any of this? Like, this is not even... In the space of an hour class, we're talking about division rules and going through, you know, the ins and outs of the scoring rules. It's like, holy shit. You're not really getting me hooked on this. It's kind of like, hey, you want to start racing cars? Okay, come sit in a class. You're like, wow, this sounds incredibly exciting. And you sit in there, it's like, well, these are the regulations on your tires, and these are the regulations on your fuel. And it's like, oh my god, like you're making me not want to do this.
Just freaking shredding shit.
Yeah, like I just tell people to load up limited minor and shoot like whatever. Just shoot the targets.
They should show only stages from the Austin City Hose Fest.
Of course.
All right.
I mean, hey, listen. If you want to have people shoot and have fun.
Grandmaster Tim, do you give unsolicited advice at matches?
No, I'm with you guys. I really try not to. And
why,
to be honest with you,
why not? Why don't you give advice?
I don't know. Multiple reasons. I mean, one of them too is I don't know where everybody is in their abilities. I mean, even if they ask me for it, I'm still pretty hesitant, to be honest with you. I mean, maybe I'll point out something, but if somebody's not asking, there's no way I'm giving it out.
All right. I personally, I feel like it's, I don't know if rude's the right word, but, I mean, I'll go with it. It's like, I mean, if you see somebody walking through a stage and it's, you know, all fucked up and it's not the way you'd shoot it or whatever, you're just like, nah, whatever. Just, like, let them do that. Yeah, they'll
I'll
do what they want to do. Maybe you'll say something.
But on the flip side, I have before, like at a major, right, where you got some C-class guy. This is his first match ever, and he has a really terrible plan, right? I said, hey, just take a look at this. I don't know, maybe it's not good for you, but take a look at it.
All right.
Let's say
generally, you're not going to say anything, right?
Well, not coaching, not like, hey, you need to fix your grip, but like, hey, try not to DQ yourself over here, maybe, right? With some.
All right. Well, see, the interesting thing to me is the 3 GMs on this that we have on the show here. All of us do not give unsolicited advice.
If I had something like your setup,
so that
I
makes
would kind of coach them afterward a little bit.
Maybe.
No, I would. I'd be like, well, you could do this But I've done the thing where Tim says is like, okay, you see the dude opening the door and he fucking sweeps himself like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's like dangerous things or something.
It's like, okay, here, dude, you need to hold the gun up higher so there's no chance of sweeping it.
Well, here's
that kind of stuff.
Here's the point I'm trying to make. Among the more experienced guys in the sport, I don't know anybody that's gonna roll up to people like a new shooter and tell them what kind of gun to buy. So, if you have somebody rolling up to you giving you that kind of advice, they're probably a fucking idiot, right?
I've encountered that personally.
What?
I mean, I've had a C-class shooter try to give me advice not that long ago.
About like what was it about?
My reloads.
Like the ammo.
He was trying to tell me to bring the gun up in my workspace. I'm not kidding. I was like, okay, thanks.
Thanks, bro.
Well,
it was a Revo shooter too.
Well, that makes sense.
Keith,
sounds like you have something you want to say. Go ahead.
No, I was wondering, so it brings up the aspect of I was like, okay, so how do you qualify the advice? Because actually, quite often there are people who see things or notice things that you're doing that maybe they can't do themselves or XYZ, that might actually be valid advice, even if they are not capable of it themselves, or they lead you down a road to something where you learn from. But when you don't know what you don't know, how do you even qualify any of that?
It's really tough, right?
Right.
I mean, a lot of it. Yeah. So maybe as a new guy, I would take a system or take one way of doing things, and I would just kind of take it on faith. Like when I started, I got Enos's book, and I think I got Burkett's book, and I just kind of, I'm just going to do this stuff. I mean, I don't even give a shit. So I'm going to read this stuff, do this stuff. This is where it's at, and then I learned a lot on my own before I started, trying to fuck around, and I pretty much, I would say I more or less ignored advice that was given to me that conflicted with any of that stuff.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Of course. But you're taking that from the standpoint, like when you started shooting, you had not shot before. You weren't a shooter before you, you're like, oh, this IDP, basically, your basic story was like, oh, this is cool, I'm going to go check this out, and that's when you learned to shoot.
Correct. Yeah.
So, as opposed to someone been like a hunter or a random Timmy type dude or somebody like that just sort of eases into it, they might already have some knowledge, whether it be right or wrong, they have some knowledge. So there's that other thing there.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. You go into any gun shop, you're going to get the worst advice ever. I mean, there's so much bad advice everywhere, on all subjects related to everything on Earth, but firearms in specific, that it's tough to weed through the bad ideas or even the marginal ideas to pick the good ones for someone who.
Well, it's like if you want to be a really fucking good golfer, I mean, really good, and you go into your local sporting goods store and buy a set of clubs, the guy selling you the clubs probably doesn't know shit about golf on the level that you want to learn it, right?
Right. He might know more than you do, though. He might know enough to get you the right driver.
Yeah, maybe.
No way. I sold golf clubs.
He probably doesn't, but he might.
Tim, you sold golf clubs?
Yeah, man, I sold them, and I didn't know anything about it.
Did you act like you did? Or were you like,
of course not.
Somebody be like, I want this one.
I guess I was.
You're like, the more expensive ones are generally better.
I said, when in doubt, just spend more money. That's right. It works for a stock 2. Stock 2 costs more than Glock, right? So just buy it. An AccuShadow Shadow costs more than a regular Shadow. Buy it.
Yep, that's right.
It's probably not worse.
It's definitely not worse.
See?
Problem solved.
Yeah,
Problem
a Boss
solved,
Mustang
baby.
costs more than a regular Mustang. It's probably better.
I mean,
Boss holster costs more than a
Blade, yeah, regular Blade
straight
Tech,
blade
right?
tech.
well, it
Gotta
doesn't.
be better.
It costs the same as a Ghost Stinger, doesn't it?
No,
Right
I
at
think
the same.
I think a Stinger's cheaper, but it's lesser, in my opinion.
All right, Hopkins. I'm going to give you the counterpoint. So a guy came on here who I have to assume is not as strong of a shooter. He says, back on topic, I think good advice can come from any level of shooter. Sure, a GM can teach more about shooting the game, but I've also been told by many GMs how to do things. Even though I can't master what they instructed me on, I still remember it. If a new shooter asks me how to shoot a stage, I essentially repeat what I was taught. I also don't like debating guns either. When somebody says they're going to buy a high point, I may try to recommend something else. But if they want an M&P, I just smile and tell them it's a great gun, even though mine never ran for shit. So that's the counterpoint. What do you think? Good advice can come from all levels?
I think at a certain point, sure.
Yeah, it's totally true. I mean, of course, good advice can come from all levels, but the problem would be sort of trying to identify good advice versus shitty advice, right?
Or the good level, you know? Or whatever the level is.
Well, it's pretty easy to tell how good someone is at shooting.
Yeah, but
Isn't it?
some dude can make fun of your glasses and say, what's that stupid tape on there? And then some other dude can be like, oh, why do you put that tape on there? Like, I mean, that's two total, like, the same kind of questions. Well, not really, but they're
Well,
kind of
it's-
wondering about the tape. Either one, but one's more interested in an answer, and one's just trying to shit on you.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Keith, how good advice comes from all levels of shooters. I guess as a
it's a B class scrub.
as a B class scrub, you probably feel like you know.
No, I feel like definitely better advice comes from like people of your guys' caliber. But I've also seen plenty of people who shoot at your guys' level who cannot explain things or teach things nearly as well as you guys can. And I've seen plenty of people who can't do something technically well, but know how to say like, oh, you should do this, and then like a more athletic person or maybe somebody who moves better could actually do it.
Well,
Let's
the explanation for the advice is different from the actual advice, right?
Right, that's what I mean. Yeah.
But I think I suppose having a good explanation that makes sense to people helps them believe in the advice. It sells it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When people ask me things that I don't understand, I just say, well, Ben says.
Oh my God.
No, that's the thing since I've been teaching recently and stuff, that you have to learn how to like explain some of this stuff to people. And if you haven't ever done it before, it takes a little work to like figure it out and how to articulate it to people, which is one thing I'm working through right now. And you probably had that experience, or no?
No, yeah, it took it. I mean, I've been doing it like 7 years. It's my 8th year now.
Yeah.
It takes a while. I mean, you learn a lot.
Hang
doing
on,
it.
Ben. Haven't you only been shooting like 10 years?
Yeah.
So you've been teaching for 8 of the 10 years?
Is that bad?
Can people get a refund for the first 3 years, maybe?
Hey, didn't you just say don't take advice from noobs?
What?
You just
Why
said
was
don't
the
take advice
GM,
from
man?
noobs.
I was shred motherfuckers.
He was a GM by then, though, right?
I know.
I mean, he was IDPA master. Come on.
That's also true.
What was it,
That's
ESP or SSP? Because it matters.
It was.
Does it really, Tim? Does it really?
It was
Does to
SSR.
Oh.
Yeah,
Well, I respect you more now.
yeah, that's pretty boss. All right, so, but yeah, it's like and there's plenty of people who are fantastic shooters that cannot teach.
Yes. I'm with you. That's a true story.
It's half of Panteo's library.
Which is the half that's the fantastic shooters.
Well, it's mostly their fault, not the shooter's fault.
In terms of technical skill, they have a lot of face shooters on there that
Yeah.
probably aren't the strongest in terms of technical skill.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
they've
yeah,
murdered a lot of people, which
Exactly.
is good.
exactly.
Right?
Sure.
Don't they have a whole video on there that's just like a guy talking about shooting people?
There's a couple, sure.
If Sonny
No.
Velasquez, that dude shot his assistant instructor.
Yeah, he teaches you how to shoot your assistant instructor. Fucking Sonny. Yeah. He's teaching Krav Maga now. Yeah, I don't think he's doing anything with really guns.
All right,
It's probably
Hopkins.
safer.
I think this was it was a good discussion as always about this topic. I like that shit. I just got a Facebook message from Tim Myers. It says,
He's
"I'm
on the.
awesome." That's
Oh.
what he said. I love how you messaged me during the podcast
Counter-
Tim, to tell me how fucking awesome you are. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Keith.
I was just waiting for somebody to say something important. Go ahead.
Well, I think we're going to do a shooting question now. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You guys
Yep.
are fucking
Yeah,
down
ready.
with the shooting question. All right, hold on. Let me pull it up here. I'm a new listener, and I've been shooting IPSC in Canada for just over a year, hoping to make A class soon. I have the dry fire manual and skills and drills. I own an Action Targets dueling tree, and I'm wondering if you think there are any useful drills that can be done using it. So, Hopkins, you love shooting steel. You're a steel shooting guy. Is the dueling tree a value added as far as?
You know what I would
As
do
a
with
training
it,
tool?
honestly? I'd do alternate plates on it. Do like one left, one right, one left, one right, and just shoot that. Because how oftentimes do you see more than two targets stacked on top of each other? They're usually a transitional way. So you could do like two on the left, two on the right, two on the left. Yeah, since there's only 6. But you like do it that way, so you got 2 shots, and then you're transitioning over to another set, 2 shots, transitioning again, another 2 shots. But if you only have that dueling tree, I'd say buy 2 target stands. Do that
Right,
would
so-
add a lot.
Well, yes, you don't want just a dueling tree.
No, you need to have some targets out there.
Is
Some
the fact that
transitions and stuff.
is the fact that it's a dueling tree, is that interesting at all? You know that the plates flip around sides. Is there anything that you would do with a dueling tree that you can't do with other stuff? I think that cuts to the core of this.
You have to get a solid enough hit on it that it turns, but otherwise it's pretty much like a plate rack or any other ball
Okay.
of steel. But you use it
I'm with
exactly.
you so far.
I mean, other than that, no, it doesn't matter that it's a dueling tree. Like, but I
don't
think
think you can do anything special with it either. That you can't do with something else, you know?
it's easier to carry around than a plate rack, so you could treat it kind of like a plate rack.
Those things are fucking
It's heavy as
shit.
fuck, man.
Yeah, but a plate rack's heavier than that. It's like a big giant ass, like big shit.
I guess if
Well,
you could choose one thing that is heavier than a dueling tree, a plate rack would be it.
or it's Texas Star,
Polish
or
plate rack.
Polish plate
Polish
rack,
plate
Or,
rack
yeah, Polish plate rack, yeah.
or a car.
or a car, or a giant lump of lead.
Or
Churches,
a monkey
churches.
mover style, maybe.
Yeah. No, Hopkins' point was something that I was doing that I've been trying to work on is like a couple of target stand or like one target stand or something like that, and have transitions into steel or away from steel, because that's a trickier shot. Like you have, let's say you just have, even if you just had one target stand and that dueling tree, and you had a wide transition where you had to shoot wide and then swing into that thing, you got to really get control of the gun to hit. And it depends on range as well, I guess. There you go.
All right, Tim Myers. Is there anything you can think of to do that's cool with the dueling tree?
No, I've never shot one, but no.
You've never shot one?
No.
You're not missing a whole lot.
I can't afford it.
Yeah, you
Seems
can.
expensive. Also I can't shoot steel in my range. Don't forget that.
They use
Oh
them
my
on our
God.
indoor range we shoot at, and it adds a lot. I mean, it's tough shots. Put 'em
They
out
tend to
about-
be smaller plates, I feel.
I think they're.
Wait, 6
It
or
might
4?
be 6 inches.
Well, I've seen a
maybe.
lot of different designs of dueling trees, but
Yeah.
one theme I remember is they tend to be smaller plates.
Well,
to
it gets
make 'em a
pretty
little-
heavy if you got 8-inch plates all the way up at like 6 feet tall. That shit's dangerous.
Yeah, and well, that and it'd be tough to hit it with enough force with a 9 to like flip it around to the other side.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I would use it mixing it in with target stands. That's all I can really. That's all my brain is capable of coming up to do with it. Aside from using it as a dueling tree and dueling with somebody, maybe that'd be kind of fun. I've enjoyed it. Hopkins and I, we've done the dueling tree thing, man. It's a good time, right?
Yeah, it's fun.
It is. It's excellent. All right. You guys ready for the most general shooting question ever?
Go.
You ready for it?
Yeah.
All right.
9 mil.
Here it is. Here's what a guy took the time to email to me. I'm a pretty accurate but slow shooter. How do I learn to shoot fast?
Seriously?
That's the question.
Shoot faster.
Go faster.
Wait, we got to talk. We got to kick this to the resident expert on speed.
Oh, yeah,
Tim.
dude. Full Timmy.
Okay, here's how I got my speed. You ready? I watch YouTube videos of dudes like Ben shredding stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to shoot that fast, and then eventually it'll land on paper. Ben, am I joking?
You're not wrong. You're not joking, and it's like you got your speed right,
Yeah.
and
For
you're
real,
still.
I
element of it, right?
I could hear the tempo. I could hear it, and I just did it until I could kind of sort it out.
Okay, that's a point. Tempo. Talk about the tempo, Timmy.
Well, it's really damn fast, and I just shoot really damn fast. It actually does kind of teach you to speed up your vision a good bit, right? Because if you're just squirting it and you're looking target to target, I'm thinking L-press specifically, right? Like getting the tempo, the target to target, and shot to shot tempo.
No, but Tim, what you're speaking to is probably what this guy's afraid to do, and that's shoot misses.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. You got to be okay with it for a little while, at least in practice.
I mean, I like the way I like to think of it is, if you shoot a miss and you kind of see what happened and see where it went, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you saw what happened, if you don't have a fucking clue and it's like a mystery mic, that's not good. But if you see what happened, and then you can work to correct it. I think that's part of the equation. Is like you're going to have to become okay with pushing yourself in practice and shooting misses on occasion, or maybe more than on occasion. I shoot misses like a motherfucker in practice. Try not to.
I don't think it hurts you either. If you can pull it back in.
Yeah, like I said, if you can
and once you see that speed, you can pull it, rein it back in, and not go at that speed.
Or I mean, once you have like you can shoot controlled on demand, and not fuck up. Then being able to make a decision before you shoot, like, all right, I'm gonna push, and then if you shoot a miss at that point, then that's okay.
Well, also for me, it helped when you shoot fast. Then you can kind of sort out your grip, and that can also help you control a little better, right? So when you're just like going for raw speed, you can kind of sort out some of the nuances that help you actually control it at speed too.
Well, yeah, it's like anything else. You have to get used to shooting at that pace.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a lot of it's just being acclimated to the gun going off that fast and hanging on to it and whatever else.
Yeah, because shooting slow is a lot different than shooting fast,
shooting
right?
Slow is a lot different.
No, really, you can get away with a lot weaker grip when you're shooting slower. But when you're when you're trying to run a 1.8 bill drill, you gotta hold on to the gun.
Well, not the gay 9mm that we shoot, but if you're shooting a real gun, yeah.
I guess.
Imagine you'd have to hang on to it.
I think a lot of it has to do with vision. Timmy talked about earlier. You can't see as fast as you're going. Like right when you first start shooting. That's a learned thing, I think, also that a lot of people don't talk about. Like your sights recover so much faster than what you can actually see.
Well, that and you can read them a lot differently than what you might think.
Well, yeah, you could tell where your like shots are going and everything like that also.
Yeah, you
what
have
information to keep and what to throw away.
Well, that and you might see a blur of fiber, and for guys like Hopkins who've shot so many rounds at high speed, where they're used to it and they don't really think about it. But a lot of guys, when they start shooting really fast and they see a blur of fiber with their gun and the gun's going off really fast and they're holding on to it, they see stuff that's happening, but it's hard for them to believe that they're seeing enough to be in control. If that makes sense.
They might not be processing it either,
No, I mean,
might be seeing it.
What I see a lot of times, people subconsciously process it, or they'll have a feeling like, I feel like everything's on the target, or I feel like one slipped up over the target. I didn't return the gun fast enough or something.
Yeah.
They'll have that feeling. They'll have a suspicion, but they may not be able to identify and articulate when that happened or how they have that feeling. But they kind of subconsciously picked up on shit. And it takes a while to, take some experience shooting fast to where you're going to be picking up on that stuff and able to know what it is that's happening as it's happening and be able to do something with that information. That's my take on it anyway.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I tried to push, like, I went from like shooting really slow and deliberate, and I pushed it like way too far to crazy rape ape out of control idiot crap. And then
but pushing it.
But then
let's back up
from there, like what I was trying to figure out, like figure it out from there, like what's too much in.
Well, let's back it up. Was it
Okay.
you pushed yourself so much and so often that you no longer had the ability to like flip a switch and then just shoot deliberately at your own speed?
Correct.
Yeah,
I had to make a conscious decision, like, dude, this you can't do this. You need to ease up and then ease up and then go, okay, like now what's different between this speed and what I was just doing, and then find that and fix that part. It seems very vague, but it's like you get what I mean, right? Like it's like, okay, what's going wrong here? I thought that I was on the sights, but I'm not. Why? Okay, slow down. Okay, that looks better. Okay, now go back to that. Okay, what? And like, what's appropriate? All that's kind of like pretty much what you just said. But it's like, how do I find my own way of seeing it?
Yeah, I dig that.
I think that's the only way to build this skill. Also, is you got to go so fast you break and shoot mics and shit, and then you slow down to where you don't go as slow as before. Then you push the barrier again. It's just
so
like
everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Does everybody agree that the way to go faster, to learn to go faster, is to go faster than you're comfortable and make mistakes and learn from that? Everybody
Yes.
agrees with that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So, but I think a lot of old school thinking is you should not shoot misses in practice ever because you don't want to practice missing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's old school thinking.
I think that's a definite.
Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
I think that's
that
a
all-
key that some instructors think is true still,
Yeah.
and a lot of them teach it still.
Yeah. I don't like it as long as you can just decide if you're going to be pushing or shooting a comfortable speed or whatever. As long as you make that decision before you shoot, I say party on. Learn what you can. All right. Good time, guys. We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Keith, for coming on.
Welcome.
Hopkins from hopkinsshooting.com.
Thank you.
And Tim Myers from. I think if you just Google black dicks and you'll find them.
Snap.
What? And if you have a shooting question you'd like to send to me, head over to bensteger.com. Love to answer your shooting question for you.
No wonder.